as Father John O'Malley described in his classic book, The First Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, in its original foundation, did not intend to go into education. To help souls was the original intent that Ignatius set forth. But in the course of time, they discovered, somewhat to their surprise, that it was in and through schools that they could effect great help to a lot of people. And they did so largely by, according to O'Malley's approach, really focusing upon a blend of the two major schools that were evolving in education in Europe at the time. That which had begun in the Middle Ages with scholasticism, focusing upon veritas, truth, argumentation, debate, etc., to arrive at true statements and propositions. That was important, but the Jesuits made an option, while not ignoring this, clearly this is important, that they saw a great opportunity for human formation in addition to information, in adopting the approach of the humanists, whose aim was not so much veritas as pietas, not to be translated pity, but basically formation of the whole person. Civic responsibility involved in the growth of a human person. And they saw that that emphasis was extremely important, especially coming from their own approach to interiority, which looked toward the internal elements of the human person as being the source for our growth, our relationship to God, to one another, our value systems, our choices, etc. This thrust, therefore, of blending veritas and pietas within a Christian setting resulted in what has been called Christianitas as a major aim evolving in the 16th century Jesuit schools. And as we know, they developed very rapidly because they were meeting a need. Now, in terms of that development, one of the major elements that they sought precisely was what they called alumnorum cura personalis, namely the care and concern for the human person. The human person who has a God-given distinctive profile of strengths and weaknesses, of talents and limitations. And to take the human person seriously, one must really look at the reality that is there in the person and adapt learning, in effect, to the reality that is this person. So as they developed their pedagogy, as it were, Ignatius saw that we should not really have to make the same mistake over and over again. Early on, he asked that there be letters every year from all superiors back to the general, telling the general how things were going, not only with regard to community life, but also with regard to apostolate, and what was succeeding, what was not succeeding, etc. And with the schools, the same reports came in. And he felt that we could profit from things that were going well by sharing them, and also sharing where things didn't seem to go well, so we wouldn't have to go up blind alleys. The result, eventually, Ignatius wanted to, in effect, systematize this. He died before any of that could really occur, and it was during the generalate of Father Acquaviva that he called together what was called the Committee of Six, who brought together the reports that had come in from the schools throughout the world at that time, and they worked on it to form a plan of studies, they called it, Latin Ratio Studiorum, plan of studies. And their first product was a draft developed in 1586. It really was a wonderful document. It's largely inspirational, holds out the ideals that we aim for, it inspires people to move toward them, etc. It was circulated for 3 years. The reactions that came back said basically, this is terrific, but as a matter of fact, it's not all that helpful because it's not specific enough. What should we do in order to achieve these rather idealistic aims that are proposed? So in 1589, a second draft came out, which was certainly more specific. That was tried and experimented with in our schools for 10 years. And the reactions that came back said, we want it even more specific. Can you tell us, etc. That resulted in the definitive version of the Ratio Studiorum, which has just been published by the Ignatian Center for the Institute of the Jesuit Sources. The definitive Ratio of 1599 was then adopted by the Society as our official plan of studies. I have found that there are many people, including Jesuits, who make reference to this document who have never read it. It is somewhat humorous, but as a matter of fact, just about everything that people think is good is attributed to this document. While there are many very good things in it, it also has its limitations, of course. The main thing that it did was that it provided a standard with regard to curriculum, with regard to the various offices, structures within the schools, and ways of approaching teaching and formation of young people. That was a worldwide effort, and it was able to replicate the Jesuit plan as a system throughout the world. People like Francis Bacon said, you know, if you want to know how to educate, go to the Jesuits.